Welcome to Beyond the Balance, where we redefine wealth and rebuild futures. Because financial freedom isn't just about numbers, it's about making your money work for you, your future, and your freedom. We're here to talk about wealth, growth, and the stories that prove you don't need a perfect balance to make a perfect comeback. Okay, today's guest is all about faith, finances, and fearless leadership. Isaiah Davis is an investor, insurance broker, and founder of the Estate Experts Mobile Notary Services. With 10 plus years of business experience and a calling as a minister of the gospel, he is on a mission to help leaders build wealth, protect their legacy, and overcome the fears of closing deals. Isaiah, it is great to have you here. Welcome.
Hi, look, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. I really am just happy to share and just have a conversation with you today, honestly.
Thank you. You as well. I'm so excited. And with everything that you shared with me about your background, I'm really excited to learn more about your history. Like, where did you start off and how did you end up where you are right now?
So I started in business 10 years ago. Literally I'm only 23 years old. So
Oh, wow. Congrats.
well, thank you. So, but literally 10 years ago, it started as just a dream, me aspiring, wanting to do business. And then my mom, she kind of helped me start my first company, which was a digital marketing company. I loved it. I just knew I heard the voice of God say, do digital marketing, which I'm glad I obeyed him because it has been the secret sauce behind my other businesses thriving. So that's one thing. But just like I say, I started out just homeless, really. I actually, at 15 years old, I was in a situation of emancipation. So I had really no guardian. Of course, my mom, she was there. I was able to live there, but I had to work, and so from there, that's where entrepreneurship was birthed, really just in prayer. I knew nothing about life, period. I knew nothing about business. And I didn't even know if it was okay as a Christian to be prosperous or have any sort of financial wealth. But I just stayed before God, and I was broke in business for a long time before I started making any money. But I started basically just with God. God told me to do this, and I'm still here today, only because God said.
Yeah, I actually love that you said that. And, I've spoken to two pastors actually, and, they've said the same exact thing.
What? Come on.
Yeah, same exact thing. I actually interviewed one and it's great. I hope you listen to it. Pastor Jay. He's much older than we both are. I'm actually 22. So we're both in the same age range, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. And so
you're 22?
I am 22.
That kind of went over my head.
Yeah, I'm 22, actually. Yeah. And so as a Christian myself, I know that it's very easy for us to feel guilt surrounding money and not feeling like we're supposed to chase wealth and, building wealth and stuff like that because it's the love of money, right? And so, how did you overcome that? I know you said you've listened to God, but, sometimes it's kind of hard to discern your own fears versus God's own voice.
That is so true. How did I overcome that? Well, that's a great question. I had the support of my pastor. I don't believe I would be where I am today if it had not been for my pastor. I normally don't do this on interviews, but I am going to shout out my pastor, Apostle Travis Jennings of the Harvest Tabernacle Church in Lithonia, Georgia. If you don't have a church, please go. I don't have my own ministry because that's not what the Lord is telling me to do. But I just, like you said, if I had not seen an example from him, he literally had faith even before finances, because it wasn't about finances for me. It was just the faith. I was never impressed about finances. My dad, when I grew up, he always had money. My mom, on the flip side, it was she was not poor. She didn't have a poor mentality. She was a Christian, but physically, like having the money in her account, the money wasn't there. So the lights was getting cut off, that kind of thing. Prepaid lights. She did the best she could do, though, raising 5 kids, as a single mother.
God bless her.
But thank you, thank you. But bottom line, my pastor was an example of not only a man of God, but also a man of God stewarding finances and also building ministry, building his home first before we even get to ministry, building his home because that is his ministry, his wife, his 5 children. And I just thank God for that example. So I'm here today to be an example for someone else.
And I'm sure, spreading your message will definitely get people there. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I've also been able to speak to a lot of, Black creators like ourselves, investors and stuff like that.
Okay.
And, their number one thing is showing people, because as young people, especially, we don't really have that image to look up to.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of set myself apart because I actually do have a more affluent family. They're not rich, but they're not, poor or anything like
Right.
that.
Right.
And
Right.
so I've been able to learn about credit and learn about how to, divvy my money and pay bills first before anything else. And that is not something that, my my partners growing up, like my how do you say that, cohort, my classes,
Yeah. Yeah.
lot of people, they'll say, oh my gosh, like, what credit is? Yeah, my dad taught me. And so I love that, we kind of step out there and be that image for other people to say, we are worthy of doing this too. And so I'm really grateful. I want to thank you again for coming on the show and talking to me.
Absolutely.
And so
Absolutely. Anytime.
thank you. And so then I would like to move to my next question because I know you've talked about being, a part of a ministry, and I asked you about how money affected, your faith and your finances. And I just want to ask you then, in your personal opinion, how do both go hand in hand? I know you said faith first, right? But how do you kind of teach people to merge the two and not be afraid of that?
That is such a great question. Um, well, ministry ministry is a mission.
Mhm.
Ministry is a mission. God, we know about God. I'm not even going to teach on this level. I'm just going to get back to cut that part out. Okay. Ministry is a mission.
I get it.
Ministry is a mission. And whenever you're whenever you have a mission, right? There's a reason why you're doing something.
Right.
There's a reason and why. And so that's the most important thing. Even more than funding what you're doing,
Mhm.
having the funds available in your own account, even more than you seeing or knowing how to be funded, the actual why behind what you're doing is more powerful than that. The why gets people on board as well, to fund the vision as well, because the vision should be bigger than you. So with ministry, I always look at it as, if you're building and as you're beginning to build what the Lord is giving you to build according to the scripture, right? Let's start there. According to the scripture, as you're building, is very, very important. You're going to find out that a lot of the things that you're trying to build naturally, that the Lord told you to build, the funds are not going to be in the account. If you have enough money to build everything God showed you that you're supposed to be building, you're probably not seeing the full picture of what God is actually calling you to build.
That's fair. I actually, that's true. And I don't think anybody put it in that perspective. You have to kind of, you know, uh, my husband always said, like, you kind of have to work. God, you can pray to God all day and God will do it for you, but you have to work towards that thing that you are asking for, right? And so money kind of has that same thing. We work for money, but faith is also something that we have to work alongside to get to where we're trying to be spiritually and physically as well. So I agree with what you said. Absolutely. Okay.
I
And
love
thank you. And so then I wanted to ask how you've done this. I know that you've built wealth across 5 different states. Okay.
it.
And first of all, how did you do that? And number two, what is one lesson that you can share with us that translate to anybody that is trying to start their investment journey?
Wow, wow. Well, that was a great question. Two parts to it. Okay.
Yeah, two
All right.
parts.
Excuse me.
That's okay.
Two parts to that question. So the very first part, you said, how were we able to build our business? So we started in Atlanta. I'm from Georgia. I'm from Atlanta. And basically I'm licensed as a realtor here. I'm a notary. I have a notary company. I'm not going to get into all of that yet. But the notary, the real estate, the insurance, all of it goes hand in hand, though they are separate industries, right? So
Right.
that's what a lot of people don't understand. They think, oh, I'm a realtor. How do I build that? I'm a notary. How do I build that? I'm in insurance. How do I build that? They don't understand. The CEO of all these companies,
Mhm.
working behind the scenes, doing that and doing the business as well. Hiring people, that's a whole nother topic when you begin to start scaling the business and then managing the money. Because
Yeah.
when you in business and you start making money that you never made before, 9 times out of 10, the people who I talk to, they have like a stasis of shock that they go into with that.
Of course. Yeah.
So, like I said, as a financial educator, my job is to kind of help dissect that. You said your question was really loaded. The first part of the question, and I wrote it down. Hold on one second. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
I knew I was going to do this in my head. So the first part of the question, you said, how was you able to build wealth across all 5 states? So we basically started in Georgia. We started where we were. And I always understand, don't try to be big when little got you.
Right.
If you're little and you're local, you're necessary.
Yeah.
You're necessary. Trust me. All you have to do is I'm telling you, don't even have to have a retail location. Get you a Google business. And you'll have local business depending on which kind of product or service you're selling. But I mentioned that to say we were able to scale because we mastered what we did here. We mastered what we did in Georgia. We were able to build partnerships and connections with people locally. And the trust from that gave us the confidence. The experience from that gave us more confidence to now go out to a different state. The process was very easy. If there's anybody here who has insurance license, you can basically just apply to get licensing in other states. Depending on which state you're applying in, there's a reciprocity agreement. Even in real estate, there's a reciprocity agreement which may allow you to skip taking the test over or skip, whatever the requirements are. You have to look at the specifics in your state, of course, but if that's the case, it should be easy for you to get the license. But like I tell everyone, having a license is not the same thing as building a business.
That is true.
Having
Yeah.
a license is not even the same thing as making money in the industry. But
Well, yeah. I mean, and I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm
no, no.
actually in the process of getting my loan officer license. And
Congratulations. That's
thank you.
not easy.
Thank you. Yeah, it's oh my God, it's difficult. And I'm like, geez, like I'm here like studying and taking the exams and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, this is so hard, and this doesn't even have anything to do with the making money part. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
that, and for me, that's where the
right.
faith comes in because
I
it's
know
like
that's
I need to pray every day to
yeah,
kind of figure this
yeah,
out,
yeah.
you know? And so hearing you say that, especially a young person, is like, like big.
Good.
People need to hear stuff like that. I think in this society that we have right now, we cut corners hard.
That
we
part.
yeah, we cut corners like nobody else's business. And even in my mind, I'd be skipping steps, and then you get to the plate and it's like you can't even eat. It's so much. You know what I mean?
Wow.
It's crazy. And so yeah, I'm definitely excited for us to go down the questions because I really need to kind of pick your brain and understand, like, how do you manage this as a young person, as a minister, as a married man? What are you doing? I mean, answer the questions first, but I'm excited.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that question. I just love the fact that like your response to it gives me energy as well because it's like this is what we all are here for. We're here to help each other. I'm not helping
Exactly.
you over you helping me. We're all helping each other. So I love that. But like I would just refer it back to it. I know this is you're a woman of God. So you're a believer. So we know that God is obviously the source. If no one ever hears anything else I say, understand that if you go to God, I'm telling you, some people, there's many different situations out there. Trust me. I'm an estate planning. I work with estate planning attorneys as a notary. I work as a life and health insurance, property and casualty insurance agents in 5 states. I know the kind of things people go through: car accidents, severe accidents, many different things happen. Unexpected. I mean, you could be so young and healthy, and all of a sudden, the next month, you're in the hospital with stage 4 cancer.
Yeah, exactly.
So I understand that, but at the same time, when you are in a focused mentality, like your mindset has to shift from everything around you. You can't see reality as facts. You have to see the reality at, or you have to, excuse me, you can't see reality as truth. You have to see the reality as the facts. And the
Okay.
thing about facts can change.
Mm-hmm.
Facts can change. Look at the state of matter. I didn't mean to go here. Look at the state of matter.
Okay.
You got ice, right? You got solid, liquid, and gas. Water, right? Water can be a liquid, it could be a gas, or it could be a solid.
Mm-hmm.
The fact of the matter is, when it's a solid, it's a solid.
Yeah.
When it's in liquid form, we can't call it a solid if it's not a solid at that time. Now, does that mean that it changes the state of matter? Does it change the elements of that? Does it change the fact that it's water? No, it's still water. So when God gives you something, God's work, God can't lie.
True.
God can't lie. The situation is one thing. Just because he said it and it doesn't look like that right now doesn't mean that God lied. That means that whatever's going on around you is not obeying. It's not quick enough yet. It has not gotten up to respond to the word that God has already spoken. But it
Right.
will come. And I believe that. I really strongly believe in prophecy. I believe in faith, and I believe in working and waiting. Sometimes we
Yes.
don't want to wait in this generation, but some things you may have to wait on. So just really want to encourage you that if you're building and you don't see the results right now, or if you're starting something that no one in your family has ever done, you're literally the first one to do that. Or you're the first one to do that in your family, but you've seen it done before, or someone almost went there, or they did something that was completely against what you're doing. You're redoing everything in the blood. You're redoing everything that anyone in your family has ever known. Those are real tough challenges to be in. But in the scriptures, you see that all the time. You see God doing that all the time. This is not
Yeah.
God's first battle. You're not God's first one. Just remain focused, like I was saying. Shift your mindset from what you can see and only focus on what you believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's it right there. I love that. And I'm actually going to have to share that with my husband, that whole matter thing. That is, I'm telling you, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to learn more. And like I said, as somebody who's also trying to develop my own businesses, I think like especially for people of our demographic, you are the person to kind of pick a brain. So how do you balance all of these roles without burning out? Like I said earlier, how are you doing this? I mean, I am a student. I am, and I'm a podcast host. I am studying for these exams to become a loan officer. And you've already been doing stuff like this. You have your own family. How are you? How are you managing this without burnout?
Honestly, that answer is simple. Everything I do flows from the heart. Everything I do is pure. It's pure. I didn't say I was perfect, but what I am doing, it is pure. So when you're living right and doing the right thing, my dad told me good things always will come to you. Good things always come to those that do good.
Yeah.
Now, this is what I would say. I'm not unlike anyone else to where things don't get me like flustered. Like I got a 3-year-old son, I'm gonna name it. have a wife. I'm 5 years. We're celebrating our 5-year vow renewal this year.
Oh my gosh. Congratulations.
I appreciate that. And not only that, but like I said, building business, it can be overwhelming.
Of course.
Um,
Seriously.
but you have to know your priorities. You have to know your priorities, and you have to do it from a pure heart. You have to do everything from a pure heart and know your purpose in it. And I think that's where a lot of people right now they're finding themselves in a situation where it's hard to maneuver, or it's hard to press beyond what they're facing, or it is just sometimes you can have so many things going on at one time. It can give you sort of like this feeling where you can't move. Like I don't even want to move until this lightens up off my heart, and that's where most saints start going into prayer. And so, but even after prayer, saints, there's a faith and works part of that. And in that work part, you have to focus. Right. You have to focus. You may have to talk to people around you that love you and explain to them, hey, I'm building this right now, but I'm not doing it outside of you. I'm doing it with you. This is requiring attention. It's just like this. It's just like when you purchase a home. Sometimes people don't want to wait 30 years to pay the home off. Sometimes they want to make an extra payment once a year. Sometimes they want to make an extra payment once a month and pay that thing down. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, you have to be focused on what your strategy is. And if your strategy is, I'm going to pray, but I'm just going to go back now. And when I'm done praying, I'm not going to step out and do anything. I'm just going to go back into my house, be depressed, or go back to my job, my same job. I know I'm supposed to leave this job, or I don't have an estate plan together. I don't have my life protected like I should. I don't have my business together like I should. I'm running my business illegally out of my home. That kind of thing that people are trying to get out of right now. They're trying to make it make sense. It's a lot at one time. So know your priorities.
Mm-hmm.
Know your purpose.
Yeah. That is so funny. Everybody, I mean, I've talked to a lot of financial experts, and I say, how are you doing it? I love to ask people that. And they all say strategy is the most important thing that you can do. Whether you write it down, whether you dream about it, whether, God comes down and slap you in the head with it, you have to take the strategy, and that is such a huge thing to hear people who are successful say that over and over and over again. And so I'm going to throw an oddball question at you.
Okay.
Ask you then, let's say for anybody who's trying to start, because the hardest thing is starting, right?
Yep.
What's a simple, easy to focus strategy that you can kind of say to people, if you don't have any clear direction, start with this one?
Now, when you ask that question, because I was, I'm in sales. When you ask that question, are you asking from the, like, what are some business ventures that they could do? Or are you asking them, like, what are some strategies that they could do no matter what business?
That's a good counter question. So, I mean, I guess I was thinking from a sales perspective, because obviously I would be doing sales as well. Any industry. I mean, it kind of looks the same. We're all doing like online type, stuff. So any strategy that you can recommend to somebody who just wants to start anything.
Okay. So this is me, because I'm the one being interviewed today. I can't
Yes.
everybody. No, seriously, but this is what I would recommend. I would recommend that whatever, and this is assuming that you already know what you're going to do. This is assuming that you're already in it. And I don't care what experience level you're in. If you have a lot going on, or you're just trying to start up a business venture, you already know what it is. You have, I don't know if you have a limited capital or a lot of capital. Those things don't matter. I would say this. You are not, this is very important to me. You are not going to be able to successfully build any business, I don't care if it's in sales or not, without having a fundamental understanding of customer service. I don't care if you're in church. I don't care if you're in business. I don't care what you're in. Customer service is the foundation of every successful business. I have worked for many Fortune 500 companies. In the marketing division, I work for a particular company that is well known for customer service, which is where I learned customer service from and has taught me traits that I've carried into other business. Customer service is very important. Understand customer service before you understand sales.
Yeah.
The second thing I would say is we already talked about prioritizing your time. Prioritize your health. I know that
That's
sounds outlandish completely to what we're talking about, but let me tell you, I built, like I said, I built many different businesses with many different industries. God is faithful, even ministry as well, family, so many different things going on. Prioritize your health. Whatever your health is, it could be your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health. If it's your financial health, don't let, we all want to be financially healthy, but don't let
yeah.
me chasing my financial health be the excuse for why you're neglecting your health in any other area of your life.
That is so true. I mean, let me interject right there, and because people think that is a joke, but it is so true. Your mental health and your physical body are like the exact same thing. People don't understand that. Like, if you are mentally down there, your physical body will reject anything that you are trying to do. And there was a period last year around this time, actually, I was making upwards to let's say 5,500 a month. That's a lot for me.
Do you?
That is a lot. That is a lot, like a lot of money. But I was the most miserable person ever. I have never, before that time, I had never been financially irresponsible, but I was like financially at my worst. Like, you couldn't convince me. I felt like I was the poorest person on earth. And that was because I was working 72 hours a week.
Wow.
Seriously. I was working, literally clocking in at 8 a.m. and clocking out at 8 p.m. every single day, 6 days a week, sometimes seven. And the money was great. I thought it was going to help propel me. I thought it was going to help clear a lot of stresses that my husband and I were sharing, and it made things infinitely times worse. I don't talk about my marriage very often, but I will say, like, my marriage was definitely suffering at that time. Well, we weren't even married, actually.
Wow.
We
Wow. Wow.
were
Wow.
we were boyfriend and girlfriend.
Pivotal time. Pivotal.
Yeah, exactly. We were suffering because I was not paying attention. I was not there. I was tired. I was stressed. I still had school. I go to college, and it was too much, you
Yes.
know? And so people, they were like, "Oh, well, I don't understand why you're struggling. You're
Mhm.
making all this money." And yeah, but I was poor in every other area of my life. So yeah, please, protect your mental and your physical health. Sorry, it is such a big deal, really.
Yes. Yes. Very much so. Very much so. It's funny you say that, and I know we got to go to the next, but I have many clients. I've been my goal this year was to help 2,025 people before the first quarter of the year, and
Wow.
praise God for that being done. So
Wow.
we've been able to do that, but not only that, right? But also some people who I've spoken with in that 2025 got sick or hurt
Hmm.
and couldn't work.
That's
And
terrible.
even if and I know got some people who can agree with me on here because this is the number one reason for foreclosure anyway in America. You get sick, you get hurt, you can't work, or the breadwinner dies,
uh,
or
yep.
the house has some sort of catastrophe. But that's 2%, like the house burned completely down. But sometimes the tree can fall in the house. You don't have money to like things are happening. Things are happening at the same time. You just started your business. You just left your job.
Yeah.
Huh? Do we talk about those things? So that's why I say prioritize your health. Money, my dad said money's gonna come and go.
Yep.
And one thing I've learned, and this is something that, like I say, if you don't hear anything else I say, hear this.
Hear this.
Money comes and goes. Money is not a faithful God.
Mhm.
Money is not a God at all. Money is a resource. It is not the source.
Mhm.
The source is God, who supplieth all things according to his riches and glory in Christ Jesus. The whole earth belongs to him. Don't die trying to live through money
Mm.
when you can't take it with you. But you
That-
can't leave it now. So make sure you have life insurance or some sort of estate plan.
yeah, make sure, guys, make sure you have life
Please,
insurance,
please.
okay?
That's not a joke. But yes.
Wow. And I appreciate you kind of emphasizing these points as well. I really do, because they're so relatable to my own life. You know, and it's like taking fruit from people who really understand what it means to be at every level. You know what I mean? You've been there where the poor person has been poor person, or the middle class person or a high income earner person has been, and that is it's great to be able to relate to somebody like that. You know what I mean? Like I said last year, I mean, I could, I think to myself all the time, like, man, if I was making that money again, all the things that I would do. But I
Mm-hmm.
said the same thing last year, the same exact thing.
Mm.
Oh, if I was making $5,000, and I did,
Wow.
I did, and I failed. I was not ready. And that actually put something in my mind that I told my husband. We're always, in this generation, we're always rushing ahead. Not only do we cut corners, but we're running. We run
Wow.
so fast.
Wow.
And
That was good.
we have periods where God forces us to rest. And sometimes we feel like we just need to get up and work. You know what I mean? We got
Mm.
to do this. We're lazy. We're not doing enough.
Wow.
And I literally sat there and I was like, no. I said, what if we must rest for us to be able to be fit for a challenge that God has for us? What if we need to
Wow.
be, well rested, nourished, and prepared for a challenge that will be set in front of us? And then we've worked ourselves so thin that we're not even going to be able to make it. I think these are things that people need to consider. I wasn't expecting to come in here and, talk about my God, but it happens. It does. And, he put it in my brain, so I have to say it out loud. Um, and that's another thing that we need to do is slow down.
Mm.
Like you said, prioritize. I know for you as a husband and, a father, your family is probably the most important thing. And you have all these businesses as well. If you have the self um control, to be able to prioritize your home before anything else, I mean, that's a beautiful thing. um and I'm sorry for the rant. I'm gonna move to the next question.
No, go ahead. Because as you were talking, and I didn't even want to do this either. But since this is my interview, let's hijack. Let the Holy Ghost hijack this.
Exactly.
So,
But and I mean, yeah, a lot of people are lost. Like you said before, lost saints, right? We just have to be calm and talk to people who, we relate to, especially in the faith. It is very hard to sit down and have a meaningful conversation about real things that are happening real time. Why? We all want to be successful. We all want to be rich or wealthy. Sorry. We all want to build an empire, for our legacy to look back at, So,
right.
this to me is like it's very nourishing to the soul. And once again, I will thank you because, it's great to be able to do this.
Allah, thank you so much. I'm telling you, like you were saying about just having the fruit, and all that. Because the Bible does talk about having fruit. That's why we have to have it. It's not to show off, but there are people that are watching you, whether you want to be watched or not, whether you like it or not. It's just like people talking about you, or it's just like going to school when you don't want to go to school, going to work when you don't feel like it. These things are inevitable, right? And so as you were just talking about having fruit, I just, the reason why you are able to uh, have this platform and do these things that you're doing, you get the fruit too. You have the fruit and you get the seeds from other people's fruits, but you don't wolf the seeds down like some crows.
Right. Like
Plant,
some...
what am I talking about?
True.
You plant the seeds and you plant the seeds for others like me. So I thank you. I thank you. This has just been amazing. Seriously.
Thank you. And actually, with all this good advice that you're giving, you have a book, don't you? I
Yeah.
would love you to talk more about your book. I know we're skipping a bunch of questions, but I would like to, you're such a great speaker and you're such a great relator. Can you tell us more about the contents of your book and, stuff that you shared? It's called Overcoming the Fear of Closing Deals.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. I wrote this. A lot of people think this book is just for real estate professionals or notaries or insurance agents. This is not just for insurance agents, not just for realtors, not just for notaries. This is for entrepreneurs. Anyone that has anything locked up on the inside of your belly that needs to be birthed out. Anyone that has a business that you're building, the ideal client would be someone that is building the business from the ground up, right? That may not necessarily have a business education or business background. And those are the kind of people that we basically just wanted to give them a small guide, something that they could whip out to help encourage them as they're building their business, to help them overcome fears of closing deals. We all have that moment where we may not have a community especially when you're first starting out a business. You don't have the community. You don't necessarily have all the capital at that time. So with all that being said, for a small investment into yourself of $10, you don't have to have $10 million of capital. A $10 investment into yourself could turn your finances into $10 million. It could turn it into, let me tell you, I had someone who I interviewed on my podcast that and I got to bring you, Kyla. I had someone that I interviewed on my podcast that read my book. He's now making $13,000 a week in life insurance sales.
Sign me up to your team, okay?
Now, I'm not saying it's going to make you an agent overnight, or just a successful, but it's going to help challenge the limiting doubts, the limiting beliefs that you may have about why you cannot successfully sell or close a deal that you're working on. If it's one deal or multiple deals, it's going to give you the encouragement that you need to finish and close.
Well, I'm going to read it. You better believe I'll give you your review and everything. I'm going to read it. I love a good book. And, I love that because, like you said, you've got to start somewhere. Like I said, I'm starting somewhere as well. And a lot of people, every day, like I'm scrolling through Facebook, sometimes LinkedIn, thousands of people are saying they're going to start, and maybe some of those people never even, they have the idea, they put it out there and they never start. Why not? And actually, this is what this whole podcast is about, is allowing people to step forward without fear. My favorite phrase that I accidentally made, and somebody pointed out to me, is that there's no fear to be had in wealth building. And it's true. Like you can be scared, but don't let fear get in the way of you moving forward. And that is something that I had struggled with for a long time. Like I've always loved reading, I've always loved writing. I did not write a book, even though I've attempted probably hundreds of times, until December of last year. I published my book. It's called Young, Dumb, and Stable. And I can send you a free copy.
Wow.
It's just a short book of, encouraging young people to move forward and to be sensible. I had the pleasure of, moving out and getting my own place at 19. That was fun, but it was hard. And and I got married young. I got married at 21, and so it's like a lot of challenges going on, and a lot of people can relate, but they're too scared to move forward. And so I'm going to add your book to my list. I will read it and I will send you a copy of my own book. And
Please.
see, I would love to see what somebody like yourself has to say about it. But I love that. Gosh, that guy, he's making 13,000, you said, a week?
13,000 of annual premium. So annual premium is basically and it's just, $13,000 basically. His take home is roughly about 7,000. But annual premium is basically, if you're paying for insurance, it's $20 a month, give or take. Multiply that by 12, that's the annual premium. What is that? 300 and something. So with that, I'm not good. Okay. So anyways, 12 times $20 a month is for what, 480?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so $480 a year. That's your annual premium. So a life insurance agent, they basically get paid. It really varies. I don't even want to get into the numbers. It varies, but they get paid. They get paid based on a percentage of the annual premium. So if the annual premium is $500 and they're making 50%, then they're basically getting $250 from that sale. So that's basically how that will work. So his annual premium is about $13,000 a week. His take home is about roughly 7K on average.
Okay. I'm gonna leave it right there. That's it. And actually, as we're speaking about your book, I would actually like to learn a little bit more about your podcast as well. What is your mission and what are you spreading over there? I know it's probably about business, or am I wrong?
You're right, Kyla. You know you're right. So listen, I'm not gonna get into all the details. We got some amazing things coming up, but we do have coaching and training as well. So the coaching, the training is what we provide for free.
Oh,
On the
really? Oh,
podcast.
well, okay.
For the coaching. Why? Because I just don't do it. I just don't do it. I feel like I'm already receiving a lot. I don't share my business. I live in Atlanta. I'm already getting a lot. The Lord is blessing, but I have to give something. And so, this book, I really wanted to give the book out for free. I really wanted to make the book for free. My team, I do have a publishing company and a PR team. They told me, no, you can't give the book out for free. People have to pay to get the information so that they could read it. And so I said, no problem. And so the book couldn't be free. This coaching, I said, I got to have it for free. So I'm coaching people to overcome that fear. Now, if you want to do a one-on-one coaching, we're gonna have to talk about that. Not just
Yeah, that's different.
But you can
But
find it on my YouTube page, and I will have that information as well for you.
okay. And geez, I'm like I said, I'm so excited right now.
Wow.
And gosh, I would love to do a like another episode, maybe like a little bit down the road to kind of see how things have evolved for you,
Yes, Carla, wow.
personally, just to see, where you are and what kind of advice you can give as future you, because obviously future you is only going to build, right? And so I'm so here. I'm here. And let's see, I'm looking at my questions and I don't even know if there's anything else I
Well,
can
that's
ask
it,
you.
Carla. If that's all you got.
I don't know. I at least want to ask one more question. And this is a personal one, and I would like for you to answer this one, and then we can separate. You talk a lot about legacy building. What does leaving a legacy really look like to you? What does it look like to your family and the people who you interact with all the time?
I love that question. That's probably my favorite question. Legacy. Some people don't believe in legacy. It's so hard to have that conversation with some people. Some people do not believe that you can leave a legacy because we're not talking about someone from 500 years ago. We're not even talking about our great, 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 great grandparents. Some of us. Listen, if you believe in legacy, if you don't believe in legacy, it's not even about if you believe in it. It's about if the people who you're affecting, people who you're leaving behind, do they believe in legacy? And what kind of legacy are you actually leaving? So if this conversation is not for you, it's not for you. But if you are a legacy builder,
Mhm.
legacy is not just about what you're leaving behind. Legacy is about how you are living,
Mhm.
how you're living. And when you understand that bottom principle, some people that's going to be a mind blown thing for you. Oh, it's not about when I pass away. No, it's not. It's going to be about how are you living now? That's your legacy. You're living your legacy out loud. And that's why you don't have time to fail in your spirit self. You're diagnosing yourself with failure before you've even succeeded, before you've even failed, before you've even tried. Legacy is I made the step today, not seeing the result of what I've done yet, but knowing, like I said before, having a pure intent, knowing my purpose, staying focused, and working to build it. So if I could just leave one thing behind, I'll just say this.
Mhm.
Your assets don't define you.
Mm.
Your money does not define you. God defines you. You are fearfully, wonderfully made. You are amazing today. You are loved and accepted today. Today. Your
Wow.
legacy starts today. That's what I want to leave with you.
Honestly, and can I shock you for a second?
Sure.
When I think about legacy, I don't have any idea that pops up in my mind. I People talk about legacy all the time. My dad, especially, he is a legacy builder. He firmly believes in it.
Wow.
And, he would always, because I'm the first everything, firstborn, first granddaughter,
Oh,
first
wow.
married,
Come on,
first,
Kyla.
yeah, I know, first everything. And he says it is my responsibility to build a legacy. And I say, I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't know what that means. And especially from somebody who came from a poor mindset, I didn't know what it meant to have a wealth building mindset yet. And now that I do, and now that I'm pursuing all these things, I'm like, oh, I get that. But building a legacy, I have no idea what that means. And so to hear that truly it starts with you right now, that's very impactful. And I know people who probably do have an idea of legacy are like, probably like shocked right now. But that is probably the most impactful thing I probably heard today, right now. And now it makes me want to think about what building a legacy is. But like I said, I really don't know. I've never thought about it, if I will be completely honest.
Define it for yourself. This is your life, Kyla, and your family is gonna remember you personally. They're not gonna remember you by what someone else defines you as. They're gonna remember you by their experience of you. And so keep living yourself. Keep living your legacy. I promise you, you're building something. And when you look back, like how you said, interviewing me in the future, I'm gonna have to interview you on my podcast and say,
Yes, please.
"What the what?"
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And okay, so we've had great fun, but I do want to redirect. Do you have any other projects that you're working on that you would like to share, to the public right now, or do you have any teasers for what you're not willing to share at the moment?
Ooh. Well, I will say this. Um, we do have a event coming up. It was supposed to be this month, but because it's larger than what I anticipated,
Nice.
it's now going to happen at the end of July. At the end of July.
Wow.
Yes. So at the end of July, we'll be hosting a in-person conference. The link is going to be on my Facebook page. My Facebook is my name, Isaiah R. Davis. Please follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram as well as at Isaiah R. Davis Realtor. You're not going to want to miss this event. You're not going to want to miss this event. If you're in Atlanta, you're not going to want to miss this event. If you're not in Atlanta, something that amazing is getting ready to come out. I have a major interview coming up with someone who is very, very well known. But not only is he well known, he's giving out free resources live in the audience on my interview. And I really, really want some of the live audience to go ahead and just take whatever he's giving out, because even if you don't get anything else, sometimes having something for free is just an encouragement
Yeah,
in
of
itself.
course.
You know what I mean? So just listen, I want to invite you to come on my page. Please follow me and stay in tune, please.
Thank you for tuning into today's episode of Beyond the Balance. If this conversation inspired you, be sure to subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Keep redefining wealth, rebuilding your future, and taking control of your financial journey. And always remember, you don't need a perfect balance to make a perfect comeback.